All right, guys, here we go. Top 10 tips for dad gamers or gamers who don't have a ton of time to play and want to make the most out of their POE2 experience. So I'm going to pull up my list here in just a second. I just want to make sure my stream's going, everything looks good. Okay, so I'm going to run this map and talk to you guys about what I've learned. Basically, the biggest mistakes that I've made so far in my journey playing the game, right? And the first thing is that right there. No. Learn what level weapons, advanced, and expert gear becomes unlocked for your character, and then pick specific levels when you're going to upgrade all of your gear via the trade site. Okay, so if you guys don't know how it works, you can go to POE2 and you can go and trade and get a bunch of gear. The big mistake that I made was I ended up going through and I would use my currency on my gear like pretty much as I got it, and I would just be making just really crappy scuff bad gear and wasting a ton of currency, right? So I would end up throwing 3, 4, 5 exalteds into an item, or 3 exalteds into an item, where if I just went on trade I could get an item that was a million times better for 3 exalted while I was leveling, right? So basically for 1 exalt, 2 exalts, you can get any gear that you can buy on trade is going to be massively better than the gear that you find while you're playing the game. Right now, there's obvious caveats to that. There's exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, that's the big one. Okay, so know what level your weapons unlock, know what level your next tier of weapon, know what level your next tier of gear unlocks, and then say, okay, I get these pieces at this gear, so at level 58, I'm gonna upgrade all my shit, or at level 40, I'm gonna upgrade all my shit, or at level 66, I can get these wands that are like crazy, right? And figure that out so that you're basically stopping 2 or 3 times during your leveling process to actually upgrade your stuff, and you will become so powerful, right, that like it's just going to save you vast amounts of money. And don't upgrade for more than a couple of exalts a piece. There's just no reason to do that, right? So typically, like this guy, I upgraded at 3 different times for 1 exalt a piece. I put that in as my cap, and I found gear that literally allowed me to run through the game with no problems. Okay, now obviously this tune is a Spark mage, so it's a little bit cheaty, I guess. But I've got Deadeye, I've got a Witch Hunter, I've got a Minion Witch, Infernalist, right? I've got 4 different tunes that I can play the game with at end game level. Okay, none of them are like super crazy, none of them are super like overly geared or anything like that, but that's what I found. And then obviously once you get to end game, the other thing that I would say as a kind of caveat on that is don't just do small little upgrades that are like minuscule amount of upgrade and spend a bunch of currency and then hoping that your current gear sells, because you'll end up in what I've done, which is like you have so much stuff on the trade site and you're not making money on it because you have to sell it, right? And so you're waiting for it to sell, you keep lowering the price, and it's all for like tiny little increases. So if you're gonna go save for like that ingenuity belt, go find out what a great ingenuity belt costs, right? And say, okay, I'm gonna farm 10 divines and get one, or a wand, right? Like I want a wand with 5 levels right now. That's my next piece. So I'm saving 5 to 10 divines so that I can go buy it. Because can I buy one with 1 divine? Yes, but it's not really that good, right? Like even though it does have the level and my DPS will go up, um, it's not as good as like all the other stats that you get. All the other things are going to make your experience just a million times better if you just keep farming a little bit longer, right? Now the only flip side of this is if you get to a sticking point, right? So if you get stuck to where like you're farming the same shit and you can't really get any higher with like maps or whatever, then maybe there's a argument to be made there. But I've played through the game now 4 times, and that's what I've learned. So second thing, pick a build for prior to the leveling season, right? So if you go to Maxroll, they're going to have guides, right? Maxroll is the site that I prefer. I think it's the best site. It's the most user-friendly site. It's the easiest site to understand as far as getting started in the game. I really highly recommend Maxroll, and get a build that you're going to level with prior to starting. And the reason when I say level, what I mean is like level currency, level all the way up, get your stuff that you need, get all the currency that you want, so that you can, you know, then really go after either the end game character of that same ascendancy, or you know, use it and get a different character that you're going to power level and get to max level, and then just, or get, you know, to where you can put the gear on, and then, you know, buy all the stuff that you need and go crush, right? That would be my recommendation there. The biggest problem that I started with was obviously when I started, no one knew anything about the game, so I didn't have that luxury. But moving forward, that will never really be a problem again, right? And so because we know that, use that to your advantage, right? So when they do a reset, obviously there'll probably be a new class. I would imagine at least one. There'll probably be a new ascendancy or two, probably a new league mechanic. But based on the buffs and nerfs, there's going to be creators who put in a ton of time into the game. They're going to know what builds are going to be safe to run and what builds are going to be, you know, nerfed or scuffed or whatever. So I would recommend using the knowledge of these guys who play the game and are amazing creators and take a ton of time to do a good job. Utilize their knowledge. That's what they're there for. That's why they make videos. That's why they make content, is they want you to have a better experience. And so I would highly, highly recommend doing that. This was another huge thing that I messed up. Tablets. I did not realize that tablets matter. I did not realize, so I'll show you. I did not realize that, like, all these things matter. So, like, are you trying to gain experience? Are you trying to get, like, more gear? So you're looking for, like, things like rarity or quantity on your tablets. The other thing I didn't know was, even though it says 8 maps in range are irradiated, everything below that applies to all the other maps. I had no idea. So I was putting on stuff based on the top thing and really wasn't caring about the things underneath it. So I made that mistake. Hopefully you're not doing the same thing. And so if I had known that, I obviously could cluster things a lot better and make my maps a lot more juicy and a lot more beneficial to running, right? So that was a huge thing for me. Save your citadels. Okay, save your citadels. I really want to run another map, but I'm in the middle of a video, so let me just get rid of some of this stuff. I'm assuming this is crap. Yep. Okay. So basically, guys, what I would tell you, let me just do this real quick, guys. I just want to make sure nothing I need, and then we'll run another map and we will continue. I don't care about stuff special. Okay. Now, obviously, I might have deleted something that I didn't want to delete. That's okay. I'm just gonna try to get up there. So save your citadels till the end, till you know you can beat them. Okay. The issue with citadels is, again, it's not like a normal map. It's not like a normal Uber. If you fail, it locks you out. You can't do it. And even if you're not going to do pinnacle bosses, the mats that the citadels drop are worth quite a bit, so you want to keep those. Okay. It's super, super imperative that you do that. Now, that being said, once you have a character that can easily, you know, just boss kill, go in, get all those, and then do whatever you want. But saving those citadels till you know you can do them is huge, because, again, I failed my first 3 citadels because I wanted to try them and see what it was like. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't research the bosses. I got killed, and it was super frustrating because of how hard they were to find, especially when the game launched. We didn't have big pillars, you know, in the sky telling us where to go, right? So save your citadels so you know you can do it. Gambling gold. So I always like to keep about 1 million gold in my inventory. Anything over 1 million, once I get to that 2, 3, 4 million mark, I will gamble. And according to what I've researched, the best things to gamble are basically rings and amulets. Okay, those are the best things to gamble. They provide the highest chance for you to get a good return on your gold. And remember, your gold doesn't cost you anything, right? Like, it's just time, and you get gold naturally throughout the game. So save 1 million just in case you want to respec, just in case you want to sell a bunch of stuff in the currency exchange. I like to have 1 million gold as a baseline all the time. Okay. This is a huge one that I have not done a good job at, is I've walked past so many of these and I'm kicking myself in the head. So the white versions of Stellars, Sapphire Rings, Stellar Amulets, Sapphire Rings, and Heavy Belts are worth a shit ton in the trade chat because if they're white, right? So you know, you got that privilege of that gear, and basically if you've got those whites, you're in a good spot because people will pay to gamble them, right? And so if your goal is to like get currency and you're not a big gambler, cool, save them. If you want to get chance orbs and gamble and try to get like a headhunter or a whatever all the other stuff is called, I know they have a name, Against the Darkness, or the whatever the necklace is called, I'll slaughter the name if I try to pronounce it. But basically, if you're not going to do those things, save those, and then you can sell them in bulk and get a ton of currency for those. Okay, so I think right now the Stellar Amulets are going for like two per like a divine for like 2 or 3 of them, which is crazy, right? And I've probably walked past 100 of them because they were just white laying on the ground and I didn't think they were worth anything. That was a big mistake. I've probably lost 20, 30, 40 divines doing that, okay, at least. So that would be huge. I would be able to have all the gear that I want at this point if I just didn't not know that. So that's that. Price check add-on. Get a price checking add-on, okay? Even if it's not 100% accurate, especially if you're a dad gamer or you're somebody who doesn't have a ton of extra time on their hands, you know, get a price check add-on so you can see at least what gear is going to be valuable, right? And then, you know, do that and work on that. While I say that, the other thing that you do want to do is every time you go back to town, you want to price check your gear. You want to make sure that you are, you know, putting it up on the trade site as you get it, because what I used to do, and it was a huge mistake, again, this is why I'm making this video, was I would save like a page of stuff and I would just throw it in a tab, right? Like I'd be like, oh, okay, this could be good. This, and then at the end of my session, when I knew I had to go get the kids or something, I would go through and I would spend the last 10, 15 minutes price checking everything and then putting prices on it and then logging right off. And the problem with that is when you put it on, right, it takes a few minutes for it to register on the site, but then you're not going to get whispered on it because other people have already, you know, undercut your gear, or if they want to buy it, you're not available to go buy it. So as you proceed every map, just make sure you're price checking anything that you think is good and then putting it onto the trade site. That would be a huge mistake that I made. Don't do it right before you log off. And then this one is probably one of the biggest ones. Number 9, pick a goal for the gaming session. Are you going to sit around on the trade site and spend an hour upgrading your gear, right? You've saved 10 divine and you're going to make a badass endgame mapper for 10 divine, right? You found this new cool build on YouTube while you were taking a dump on your work break and you were like, oh man, I'm going to save this video, and then when I get home, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to make this build, and it's a 10 divine budget build, and I'm going to, you know, make this build and have fun with it. Cool. Go do that. Just make sure that you're setting yourself up and you know it's going to take time to get all the pieces, all the passive points, everything that you need, all the gems, all the jewels, all that stuff, right? Are you going to be doing pinnacle encounters? No problem. Go do pinnacle encounters. Like, save all your currency so you can do a bunch of breach bosses, a bunch of pinnacle bosses, a bunch of simulacrum bosses. Like, whatever content you want to do, like, get a bunch of them so you can spend time doing that content, right? Or if, like, let's say there's a certain specific type of map, like you want to do rituals or you want to do expeditions, right? Make sure you've got your tablets ready, that you're ready to go, that you went and bought some, so like you can go spend the time as efficiently as possible doing the thing that you wanted to do during the time that you have to game. If you want a currency farm, right? Are you getting your tablets with all the quantity and rarity? Do you have the quantity or do you have the rarity gear? Are you set up to go so that you can really try to farm as much currency as possible? Or are you trying to hit a certain level so like you can get these other 2 points, and these other 2 points are going to massively boost your survivability or DPS? These are all things make a huge difference. So when you're setting those up, set up your tablet, set up your gaming time so you know, hey, I'm going to be looking for this because this has the most monsters. I'm going to be putting these tablets in because they give the most experience, yada yada yada. And then the last thing I would say is don't miss passive bonuses from the campaign. I spent my first character, I couldn't figure out why I was having to spend so much get such high resistances on everything to get cap. Turns out I hadn't gone through and gotten any of the, besides like one of the resistance free boosts, right? I had none of the max life. I didn't have the last spirit one. So I was wearing all this gear to try to get all this spirit. And I was like, why are these guys' spirit so much higher than mine? I have more spirit on my gear. And I realized I hadn't even went and killed the witch, right? So I was losing out on like 30 spirit or 60 spirit, whatever it is, right? And so those are big mistakes I made. So if you go to Max Roll again, they have a campaign bonuses guide to basically every act, right? Like it tells you, okay, in Act 1, you've got this guy that gives this guy that gives, and just go get those. Make sure if you're in that act, you're prioritizing getting those. You know what zones they're in, so when you zone in, you go, okay, I got to spend extra time here so I can go get these, because otherwise you got to go back afterwards, farm it back up, and it's a huge pain in the butt. All right, so don't do that. Hopefully, guys, these 10 tips will help you be a better, more efficient gamer. Again, I'm no pro, I'm far from it. Also, another crazy thing, 94% of my views are from non-subscribers. So if you guys could follow the channel, like the video, throw a comment, anything you can do to help it grow, it'd be amazing. But for all you guys watching who aren't subscribed, I hope this video helped you, and I hope I've earned your subscription. If not, that's cool too. I suck, and I'll try to get better so that I can earn it in the next one.